folks. Welcome on back to another episode of the BoomBastiCAST. It's a pleasure to see y'all this evening out there. Steaming and gleaming, looking fantastic. You know what I mean? We've got a returning guest on the show today, Uwe Boll, the one and only. Love this guy. True king of the independents. Speaks his mind. I love it. You know what I mean? Dude's been making movies for a long time. You know what I mean? And he's still making them, and I love that. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. What you thinking? What you thinking, Alex?
Hey, I'm thinking I can't wait to talk to Yui. He's always fun. As Matt says, he speaks his mind. You might like him, you might hate him, but he's always fun to talk to. He always says it how he feels, and it's nice to talk to people that aren't trying to sugarcoat or hide behind some kind of agenda. And plus, also, I am a happy owner of
Hey,
Uwe Boll's book. The only downside is I gotta start learning German to read it, but I'm going to start put that through Google Translate and see what I can learn.
well, Alex is always learning, and that's one of my favorite qualities of Alex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should speak German for acting purposes. You're going over there soon, right?
Well, Hungary. Hungary is
Oh,
is where I'm supposed to go. But hey, I'm down to go to Germany anytime. I'm it wherever the acting roles take me, I'm willing to go. I mean, heck, uh, I'm down to do whatever I can.
I'm waiting to catch you in a nice Uwe Boll film. I think that's a long time coming. When I
Hey,
forget
hey,
about playing.
I'm totally down. I mean, if Yui ever has a small role for me or anything like that, I'll be on the first plane I can out there to shoot with him.
Or a big role. Bada
Or a
boom.
big role. I mean, I don't want to be too greedy. I don't want to be too greedy.
True. That's a good call. Greed's terrible.
Yeah,
If you're gonna be a greedy man, start a film festival.
that's
And
right.
we're about to pop into why I said that comment right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, welcoming back to the BoomBastiCast for the second time, the great, the powerful, the wonderful Uwe Boll. Uwe, welcome back to the BoomBastiCast. Good to see you.
I'm a regular now.
That's right. That's what I like to hear. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. You know, this episode we're going to touch base on something we started to touch base on in the other episode, which was the film festival fuckery going on. The madness, the dirty bastard peasant motherfucking film festivals robbing people left and right, dude, being crazy. Wild deal. There's definitely some of those festivals out there roaming, doing some terrible things, exploiting people in their films, taking their money and not giving them a fair shake on things. You know what I mean? We see it all over the place. You're definitely a bigger filmmaker than we are. It was kind of heartbreaking to see that people at your level kind of deal with it. I know that we do when we make our indie films, we deal with that, and it's just horrifying. But to find out that it's a full spectrum of all this madness is really a discouraging thing.
Yeah, I mean, I recognized that at first in the Berlin Film Festival, like uh, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, where I sent them Darfur. And they didn't even watch it because at that time we sent a print, like a 35 millimeter print, and it was sealed. The reels were sealed and untouched. They came back, but not paying only the submission fee, but also the shipment was not cheap. So you are in $300 or something, and you get it back unwatched. And then in this year, specific year, Berlin had their own section, like African films. And I mean, Darfur, what else you want? I mean, what the fuck? I was like, there were like 30 movies running from Africa and about Africa, and most of them were total crap, like total like unimportant shit. And
Yeah.
you feel like, how could they not take my movie in? And that was like the first thing where I really felt like it's all a big cheat. And the reality is, when I recognized the festivals that invited me with my video game films, more the horror festivals and so on, they all contacted me. I never submitted anything. They just contacted me. Can we play Blood Rain? And you want to come? We pay your flight and hotel, right? So then I basically rewind my brain tape to, okay, to be honest, the only festivals who ever played me invited me without submission. And every single time I tried to get into a festival with more the art house or political driven films I did, they passed, and you get just a fucking email back, meh, not selected. And then there were reports out there from that anti, like in LA as a group, they actually tracking things down like this, right? And when they wrote, like, Sundance got, I think, 8,000 submissions. Think about it. I have no clue that so many films are existing, to be honest. That is crazy. But 8,000 times like $100
Yeah.
is an insane amount of money, where they can pay all their parties they give them for the same actors and directors since 15 years. I mean, when you see the history of Sundance or the history of Cannes or whatever, the same directors, the same actors getting in the jury, getting their movies in. And I think that is really, I mean, Trump would say it's rigged, right? So, but it is rigged. It's ridiculous. You know, it's total ridiculous. And it's so unfair, because if they don't even give you the chance, yeah, so they just want your money, and then they keep paying that bullshit. And you think like that is so insane. And another thing what I recognize is, you have some directors, they are loved by a festival, and no matter what crap they make, no matter what shit film they make, they're getting invited again.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel like, did you not watch that films, but you just invited them based on the name of the director who you liked 15 years ago. And that is exactly what it is. They like that director from whatever, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And then no matter what, I mean, I'm talking about Terrence Malick and people like this who really did shitty films in the last 10 years. And then you think like, okay, they're getting that invite with unnecessary, unimportant crap, and I do whatever Rampage and never get anywhere. Assault on Wall Street, like films about the reality around us, and boom, nowhere, nobody took it. Yeah, it's very unfair to a lot of filmmakers.
Yeah. It's a discouraging thing, you know. The agenda, it's like whatever the hot agenda is of like that current time, it's like they're very focused on that, which it sucks. I mean, we got festivals up by us, and it's like it's practically, they should just call it like the agenda award show, you know what I mean? It's just like whatever they're pushing, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. We got
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we had a short that we sent out for special treatment. It's a horror short, and what I found funny was that Matt sent it out for a film festival called Absurd Film Festival, which honestly,
Sure.
special treatment
Yeah.
is a perfect example because they spouted about how they're looking for like weird avant-garde, you know, kind of like fever dream kind of like things, which is what the short was.
Yeah,
And Matt sent it out. Okay, they denied. They said they weren't going to show it, and then they hit me up personally in my email saying, "Hey, you have any shorts you want us, you know?" And giving me the whole speech, and I'm like, dude, my partner literally sent our short to you, and you're so lazy you don't even read to see who's in it or who's producing it, and you hit me up
yeah.
after you already told the director and my co-producer on this project that you don't want our film. I mean, why should I spend more money to send out either the film we already sent or another film when, you know, I mean, that's what drives me crazy is the fact that it's I mean, it'd be one thing if they're like, okay, send us your films, we'll watch it, we decide what we want, and if we want to show it, then you have to pay X amount of dollars. But when you have to pay to just have them see it, and then they can say, it's not what we're going to show. I mean, come on, that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of festivals. It's also what we just like at the dinner. My wife and I discussed that, like that film Freeway, like that where that came out of nowhere. Where since when all the festivals you have to submit through that system? So I think that is rigged too. Like, so they pocket money from this company. I don't know even who owns that company. And then at the same time, all the festivals are on the same page. We run it through them. And because they're advertising then, 50% off, 50% off, whatever, not telling the people you actually have no chance. They will not select your film, and it's this kind of if you think about it, I mean, the number with Sundance was so shocking for me. And the first time it sinked in, like, that is a big business. There are millions they can make on filmmakers who put their last money and work into a film, and now they're taking the last $100 from them.
Yeah.
And and give a shit about them at all. And I think, and then of course they're flying in George Clooney in a private jet to have him going the red carpet. I mean, that is how it works. Yeah. And I think it's ridiculous. The same like was in Berlin now, the Berlin Festival. I mean, they had that big scandal with the free Gaza bullshit, what that people pulled out of their asses there on stage. But it was so absurd because everybody was applauding them.
Yeah.
Like kill all Jews. Yeah. And then the next day they were all in the newspaper. And then like, I applauded only for the movie, not what they actually said. And okay, but why these people are invited? Like that is the thing. It's like all these people getting invited. And I applied with First Shift, my cop film, and directly like, no way. And that is the thing. It's like, it's total insane.
Yeah. You bring up Film Freeway. I think that they're owned by the same corporation that owns IMDb, which is kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of tricky. It's another company. I pay for IMDb. I appreciate IMDb, but it's definitely a racket for sure. You know what I mean? It's like pay to have this, puffed up resume, so to speak. If you want to be in the same category as these people, you love watching their films, you pay the money for it. It's definitely there's a exploitation going on for sure. You know what I mean? It's horrifying.
Yeah, but it's also like, for example, IMDb. I have pro IMDb too because I need telephone numbers and whatever if I want to cast a film, and I need access. And IMDb Pro is the best you can go for. Yeah. But for example, what I felt at IMDb also is that they only use Rotten Tomatoes as the critic score is totally unfair. If they would go on Amazon and see, for example, like how my films are rated on Amazon from the actual viewers, they would have to change a lot of the scores. So and that is the thing. I always got from these critics who are on Rotten Tomatoes bad reviews since House of the Dead. And they never changed their opinion. And then you watch it up and you see like Postal has 13%. I mean, sorry, but Postal go on Amazon, go with Rampage on Amazon. They have 4.4, 4.3. I mean, and that is ridiculous that they don't correct that based on years go by and the people voting.
Yeah.
And I think that is unfair. Because there are these critics' darlings, they always have like that high Rotten Tomatoes rating, and then you watch the film and you think like, "What the fuck? Are you insane?" And because some reviewers love it.
What a name, like Rotten Tomatoes! What a great person to get all your advice from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And it's in Germany we have one Filmstarts is the name. They hate me from day one on. And I always, like the Peterson guy, he's the boss from Filmstarts. I totally bashed him in public. Since then, I'm every film 1 star out of 5, whatever I do. It's totally absurd.
Yeah.
You know, and even people writing them, they say, "Are you insane? Darfur 1 out of 5? Well, I mean, you have eyes in your head, or are you crazy? You know, Tunnel Rats 1 out of 5. You know, total absurd. It's like a personal vendetta the guy has." And I even wrote him an email. I said, "Look, I'm a person who hit you back. Like if I think I get unfair treated, I'm not going on the defense. I'm going on the offense, right? So, and if you cannot stand it, then you're a pussy, basically. You know, like they need always these directors or whatever. They like kissing their asses, then they're happy, like Harry Knowles did in that years. You know, when you were not sucking up to him, where he had real power, he hated you.
Yeah, Ain't It Cool News. I remember them back in the
Yeah.
day.
Total Rick. I was 2 times in Austin at the Alamo Film Fest, right? And he was there in his wheelchair, you know, and it was like, he's like, "Yeah, over, you know, like they fly me in." Like it was that time where Hollywood big productions, he was at Lord of the Rings on set or whatever, they were flying him in, you know. And I said, "Yeah, but sorry, but I make independent films. I'm not flying a reviewer in. I mean, it's insane, you know." So and he's just like bashed some of the movies, and I felt like, you know, I when I talked person to him, I said, "Look, I have nothing against Ain't It Cool News, but you're basically bought. Like they pay you and you want to get more invites to film sets, and so you suck up to them, and that is not what the reviewer should do. You still should say it was great on set of whatever the new Indiana Jones, but it's still a crappy film, sorry." So I mean, you know, but that is the thing, that is your job. It's like if you're a real restaurant tester or something, I mean, sorry, but if the food is shit,
Yeah.
only because you know the owner, you cannot like don't write about the food was horrible. And I think that is the honor film reviewers should have. Like, you know, I mean, they should be honest to themselves too. So yeah.
I think there's one of those things, like if you can't, like a lot of those critics and reviewers are people that like wish they could make the films but they can't, like, because it's very difficult to make a film, you know what I mean, just to get the balls running, get it shot, done, edited, released. Like a lot of people fail every day that journey out to do it and just never finish their films. And I think that their critics are more like in that category, and they like, well, I could do it better, but they can't, you know what I mean? So they got to criticize and be ridiculous. Like Ain't It Cool News, I remember like Eli Roth. I feel like, and I like Eli Roth, but like his Ain't It Cool News was played a big part in the success of Eli Roth, because everything that he did, they were like, loving it, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was,
I mean,
look, how, okay, well, one second before you say it. Like when House of the Dead came, Cabin Fever came. That was almost the same time. And Dave wrote Cabin Fever is like the total masterpiece, and House of the Dead is the total piece of shit. And you think like, I don't see this here, you know, I see it here. Maybe it was Cabin Fever was maybe better as House of the Dead, but still, it was not like the one is total shit and the other one is the new whatever Pulp Fiction, you know, and you think that that is also not true. And yeah, but you want to say something?
oh yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, like the old saying goes, if you can't do, you teach, but if you can't teach, you critique.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that not everyone can, you know, be a filmmaker or an actor and all that. And the thing is that I think one of the biggest troubles with critics is that they are, like we said, frustrated, either filmmakers or creatives, and and the thing is that the only thing that they can get out of things now is the perks. You know, if a filmmaker will fly them out to, you know, they're set in Hawaii and they get to be in a bungalow, hang out with George Clooney. But then again, I mean, it's the same thing as looking at, you know, politicians and all that. It makes everything political. That's why I don't watch the Oscars, because I have yet to see a actually good film win an Oscar in the last, I would say, 20 years, because
Yeah, but
everything.
there are no good films. I mean, that is the thing. It's like there are okay films, right? But there are not a lot of films. I mean, I have to say, like with my whole family, when we watched Barbie, we all switched it off. I mean, I watched it. I couldn't. My son is 10. My wife, and we all three have, of course, different taste, right? But I would say Meg 2 was 10 times better as Barbie. And it was not the greatest film I ever saw. But Barbie was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
We were sitting there like, is that funny? I mean, I never saw Will Ferrell so bad. And I felt like when that got hyped up and was so a big hit, that had nothing to do with that bullshit the press wrote about it, like female empowerment. No, everybody wanted to get dressed up like a Barbie doll and go to the movie theater. That was the success of Barbie. And it's an unimportant movie with great costumes and production design, but similar to Barbie and Ken was always bullshit as toys also. I felt like, what the fuck? You know, total absurd. But that is exactly what you said. Like the wow effect, watching something where you feel like, but whatever, like there will be blood. You know, like where you watch, or Boogie Nights, you know, like films like this, where you were like, wow, what the fuck? And it's good, you know? And then, of course, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, you know, and then you watch all that films, even Oppenheimer, to be honest, I mean, it's boring. It's like, yeah, you know how it all ends, you know? I mean, it's not like, oh God, now comes the big twist. I just saw Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. It's also like boring. I mean, everybody knows what will happen. Waterloo, he's losing, goes to the island, he dies. So, you know, like, you know, there are all things, I think what the streamers also doing, or the studios, they always want that safe bet. You know, let's get Ridley Scott and give him 200 million for an epic. Let's get Scorsese and give him 200 million for an epic. I didn't even watch The Killers of the Flower Moon because it's 210 minutes long. And I'm a big Scorsese fan, you know, but it's not like, I know already basically what will happen there. And I'm sure it's not a bad film, but I just cannot do that to me. I will watch it maybe in installments, you know, at home, like okay, pause. Tomorrow I watched another half an hour. And it's like, I don't know why they do all that films, but these films are not blowing anybody away, you know, where you have this kind of what we had in earlier times, where you really got into something emotionally involved and you watched it and you felt like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, Dances with Wolves, that was a film. You know, like where you had the feeling like the Western is back in a way. Even Open Range was great in comparison to everything all at once. There was also like, when I watched that film, I couldn't stand it. You know, I was like, what the fuck? It's like a clip. It's like a TikTok video. And yeah, but that shows also, and it is similar to the film festivals we talked about. It's rigged.
Yeah.
You know, there are Oscar campaigns. There are like, you know, they building the campaign to something. Then everybody talks about it, and nobody really knows why. But then it doesn't matter. Then it's there, and of course you get the Oscar nomination for it. You know, and you think like when you actually watch the film Moonlight, all that films where I felt like it's not a bad film, but I mean, it gives me nothing.
It's not best picture material for sure.
No,
And,
no. You know, I just watched Spaceman yesterday. You know,
too,
it's not a
actually.
bad film, and Adam Sandler is good, but it doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah.
You know, when the spider pop up, you think like, okay, now it's alien time or whatever, and then it's like a nice talk with Paul Dano was the voice, and you just. You know, it was like, I mean, without the spider, I think the film would be unwatchable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think he would be the whole time there and sings about his wife, why she's not answering, and I give a shit about it, you know, like, it's like really like, you feel like, what's the point of that film? But they spent like 80 million on it.
Every time they were out of the spaceship, the movie wasn't worth watching, I felt. You know what I mean? Like the best stuff was like the in-space stuff. Going back to the wife back on Earth was just like boring, super boring. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
with the, we can all agree that people are a little more sensitive these days. Do you think that's like the big reason why they're not pushing films that make you feel like where you would actually feel something and have thoughts, make you think, those films back in the day? Like, they're afraid of people feeling and thinking. I think that, or getting in trouble for making somebody feel or think a certain way. You know what I mean?
No, totally. I mean, there are all that diversity stuff. There's there are so many things in the planning of a film before you get it greenlit, or a TV series, where it destroys story structure. It's like a quota everybody has to fulfill. I mean, if you write now a TV series, if you don't have like Asians, blacks, transvestites, whatever, you're dead. Like it will just never get the green light. And this, all that writers are already knowing, and so they're writing it all in, and then things getting total bullshit.
Yeah.
Where you feel like, what is this? Why is that written like this? Even in the True Detectives now with Judy Foster, I mean, I liked it, right? So I think it was good, but you felt also they had to bring the little, like, the natives, like the trans. There was also like a gay situation, like stuff like this, where you feel like, okay, it's like, if it's natural in the film, it's okay. But if you start putting it in because you have to, because you get like forced to it from like the cancel culture, so it's this self-censorship what people putting up with, where they basically blocking projects in a way to just tell them how you think you should tell them.
Yeah.
And that is for a special TV series too, is this kind of like, where you feel like, what the fuck? You watched Expats with Nicole Kidman, that Amazon Prime show. It's like, that is also, so it's a good setup. So she's in Hong Kong and with the family, and then they have a babysitter, and she is basically, they go on the market, and then the little boy is gone, and they never find him back. Gone. Human smugglers, whatever, organ smugglers, but the boy never pops back up. So her marriage and everything in a way breaks completely apart. But that girl, like the Korean babysitter, she is dating then the neighbor, basically the neighbor's husband, and their marriage breaks apart because of her. So that is all good. So you're interested, you watch it, but then she turns lesbian because she is pregnant from that guy, and then she turns lesbian, starts an affair with a girl, and you feel like, that was basically Amazon recognized in episode 4. Oh fuck, nobody is a lesbian or gay. So now she falls in love with another girl. And it has nothing to do with the film. The film is, are they finding the boy or not? Yeah. And then it goes completely sideways. They never find the boy. They never even look for the boy anymore. And they move back to New York. And you think like, why I watched 6 episodes like this? I mean, I saw it the whole time. They're coming to they, for example, hire a private detective, and he looks for the boy, and they look at, for example, in that market in Hong Kong, there was the video footage everywhere. They never looked at this. It's insane. Yeah. It's totally, so it's this kind of show where you think like, they controlled every check mark, but not the overall story arc, that you have to tell a story, where you have a great setup. Boy is gone. And I mean, I cannot believe it. And so I have that more and more, where you have that feeling you total waste your time. Like you're watching something for 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. And you sit there and you think like, why they cannot do Breaking Bad again? Like why they cannot actually tell a story, moving that story forward, and then you're engaged in it.
Yeah.
So
it's like Oppenheimer. Like the whole time you're watching Oppenheimer, you're waiting for them to drop the bomb. But I think that they never drop the bomb in the film because they don't want to offend the people that were affected by it. You know what I mean? They have like,
yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that my whole reason for going to see Oppenheimer is because, Nolan does those big, huge picture, the spacey stuff. And I wanted to see like what it would be like actually in it, you know what I mean? And he never went there. I was disappointed with that. Yeah.
Like I thought also being in the bomb.
Yeah.
You know, when the bomb evaporates and you fly with the bomb through the city, through the streets, whatever, what is different would be different as like every movie where a nuclear bomb goes up, you see the mushroom thing, that was it. And then you see everything is burned. But to do visually something new with it, that I felt that would be interesting. And but that was not. It was just a star vehicle, you know, where Matt Damon, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and whatever. And of course, they're all great. I love Cillian Murphy, but I love him for Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
That was a great show, you know, where you were like totally binge watching, and it was a straightforward show where about the Irish basically, right? So I loved that show, and it's too bad that a lot of films, a lot of TV series, I think they totally don't tell the stories anymore. And we have in Germany is a like CSI is in Germany. Tatort is the name. It's for 40 years, Sunday evening, they show a 90 minutes crime scene. And also the ratings went so down the last few years, also because it's not anymore the whodunit. You know, it's not like you have the murder in the beginning. Now they have to find out who was it. That is all sideways now. Now they tell all these diversity stories. Every police department now in Germany has Asians, has Arabs, has black people. You have a homosexual little part here. And you feel like, I don't want to see that in every show. Like, there is a murder, solve it. I give a shit about the people who do it, but don't play these private stories out, because the private stories are now more important as the case. And then it gets boring, you know, and the cases get smaller and smaller and unimportant and easier to solve. And that was not the reason that show is for 40 years on air. It's because they were really thinking about intelligence crimes where it's not easy to find the murderer. And, you know, so, and that from that, the show lived for a long, long time. And now they are totally like, oh, why the ratings don't work. And, like in the public discussions about it. And I always post in, yeah, because you're not telling a fucking crime story anymore.
Yeah.
It's a family drama now between like people in an office. So it's you know, so, and that is, it's really like when you really see, I mean, I looked this week also, I looked deep into the future of the streamers, right? So, I mean, like Paramount Plus or whatever, they will all shrink down in a way, you know, like with the production money. But and AI coming in, and I think film will be less interesting in the next 30, 40 years, less and less. And I think everybody at one point will look back to the 80s, the 90s, the beginning of 2000, and will say that 25, 30 years, that was it. That was the peak of like film. Mm-hmm. And then it all got like algorithms and lawyers and bullshit and diversity writers, you know. It's the same with like the time where like Beethoven, Mozart, whatever, the classical music peak was there. And it never went back to this. Whatever composer, yeah, you have great film music composer, but like a real composer, like real classic composer, and they never came back to that level. That's the reason all the big concerts are still that old composers. And I think with film, that will be similar, that people will say, look, you're Raging Bull, Goodfellas, The Godfather, all that films will never happen again.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think AI will actually start making films at one point where there's no directors? They just literally go, they check those boxes with punching keys on a computer. They step back, it creates the whole thing. At that point, they don't have to pay for, because we've talked about before, it's like when we have, you might be in like one of the last kind of groups of people, I feel, the filmmakers that fit into it, where it's like, I don't think they want people to have filmmakers that they appreciate anymore, where you go, I'm going to see the next movie, because you then have to pay that filmmaker more to do those movies, where you can, it's just more about like the film. And it's kind of scary. Like I tell Alex all the time, it's like, I don't even know if we got to a place like that, if it would be a situation where they go, I want to see the next Matt Fisher film. It's more like they want you to make the successful film, they take it away from you, and then they have somebody else do it. So it's always changing hands of power, but their power is always like in it. But like the filmmaker is getting slowly more removed from his films. You know what I mean?
But I think that is already happening with all
Yeah.
that. I mean, nobody knows anymore who's the director of The Mandalorian. You know,
Right.
whatever. Like they're like insiders, yes, but the normal audience don't care about directors anymore. And but I totally agree. I think with AI, I mean, the NVIDIA guy today from that chip company, whatever, he said like in 5 years, the AI is way above humans.
Yeah.
You know, so it's exactly like Kubrick 2000.
Kubrick,
So
yeah.
that it means like you would just say, you know what? But now you would have to say, okay, we do Postal 2, right? And you write it, and the AI puts it in pictures or whatever. That is still far away from being actually possible, you know, but that is maybe possible very fast. But he basically says in 5 years, you make the computer watch Postal 1 and you say do Postal 2 and you get the film.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, absolutely. You don't write the script, you whatever. So I mean, it's of course it will be a new like gold rush, because then you have an invasion of completely artificial made films that look realistic, including the people. You know, you cannot see that it's non-human. So, and that is of course a huge danger, that it's a flood of films, but it's a big danger for the studios, because they will be all on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you don't have costs, then you don't have to think too long about like trying to go to a film market and sell it. You just load it up and look and advertise it. You know, and you basically get some advertising money, and if it's sensational, you have 300 million views. You make tons of money. So, and that is the thing, especially the cost factor and is then very low. And I think that will happen. That will happen. I think that the first who will get out of business is dubbing, like dubbing voices, because they don't need them anymore. You can basically in Germany, Elon Musk voice or Tom Hanks voice is they talking German to you on Twitter in their voice, but of course it's not them, it's AI, right? So, but that happens already. So it means like the original voices of the actors stay the same, and you push the button, and now the guy says it in Japanese, in Spanish, in French. So that will happen fast, and the scripts development will happen. I don't think there are scripts anymore without AI involved already. You know. And so the next would be really the picture themselves, that like when Tyler Perry stopped his $800 million investment in Atlanta in the new studios he wanted to build, he stopped it after watching what's happening, because he felt, who needs a film studio anymore in the future? You know, because right now you can just have 2 actors standing anywhere in my kitchen, and you put them at the into the Mandalorian. I mean, it's really like you don't need the green screen anymore. That is all basically obsolete. You can film anything on 6K, and then you put them wherever you want. You make them fly. And then, of course, the next step is they don't even do anything. You scan them. You have the body, and the body can do John Wick.
Yeah.
You know, so all of this will happen, and I'm very sad about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I mean, I'm 58 now, and if I'm lucky, I have another whatever 25, 30 years. You know, so but I'm almost happy to not be too young, because you know, for real, like I you know, I don't want to see the world in 50 years. I mean, it's so fucked up. It's so absurd, everything what's happening, where you feel like, what are we doing? I mean, you know, but nobody has the guts to stop this technology because it's bad. You know, it's the same with TikTok. You know, it's like I see my son, I see younger kids. They don't watch films. It's over. They don't watch TV. It's completely over, right? So the generation now of the, let's say, 8 to 15 years old, they will not even go to the movies anymore. It's like they're watching only short videos. So the best, and it's also a brain defect, like you cannot focus anymore. What is longer, you feel like, oh God, I cannot watch that. It's too long. Just stop it. I watched whatever, Logan Paul talking about Prime instead. So, so, but overall, of course, that has consequences. The attention span is so low, I mean, that they cannot even watch 100-minute film because it's too boring. And you don't even have to talk about reading a book. So, and then with AI, it will be like obsolete to do a lot of things you learn in school, because you say, for what? For what I should learn other languages. I say it in my phone, and it comes in the other language out. So that, but overall, it makes us more stupid. It makes us more dependent on this technology. And I think it's very dangerous for the people, because they don't know real shit anymore.
Yeah. I know a couple, like last year, maybe even, probably last year or the year before. I remember they AI did like a new Nirvana song with like Kurt Cobain singing new lyrics. Do you think that Hollywood will ever introduce something where they almost bring back a digital Kubrick, a digital Fellini, so you can get a whole new movie from these people? You think would ever get to that point?
Yeah.
Even though it's AI, but still like in their style, all their framing, their storytelling kind of way of doing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you have like Marcello Mastroianni playing with in a Fellini film. You have all this, but then you have too much product, and too much. Then everybody loses the. You lose the overview. It's too much, and and then films also getting this kind of. I just watched also here Ferrari. So because in my next film I shoot in April, right? So the mother from Adam Driver, like she's in my next film too, because it plays in Italy, and I hired her, Daniela Peperni, very good actress, and but you feel that film like just on Amazon, like you watch it and you think they spent 200 million. And in 2 weeks, that film will be completely forgotten. I mean, it's not a great film, but I mean, it's a big film.
Yeah.
So, and you feel like the thing about Once Upon a Time in America from Sergio Leone. There was a film I waited for a year that it come out, and I watched it the first weekend. I'm a big Sergio Leone fan, So, and there was an event, and Michael Mann's Heat. And now we're doing Ferrari, what was, I think, at least double the price of Heat, but nobody gives a shit.
Right.
So it's it's sad. I feel we need a reboot and have to disallow some technologies and say, for us as humans, we have to stop looking on our phones 10 hours a day, and the kids also should be not allowed to do this. We should switch off TikTok, because it's also a Chinese spy. And not only a spy thing, it's also a brainwashing thing, like where they know if we all keep watching this bullshit, it's easy to manipulate Europe and North America after a while, because the young generation will be not able to exist without that technology, and then also going back to real filmmaking, I think is important to have that theatrical releases, to not just skip everything and just stream it, so but because you need also the audience who goes backwards to it and gives smaller films a chance and say, I pay a ticket, I want to watch it, I want to support that, So now where Blockbuster is gone, it's basically at least some independent movies should be shown in every multiplex every week. Yeah. So that there is kind of like things can get traction.
Yeah. That TikTok thing, I think, is like a problem of the bigger picture. You look at like In China, like in school, they're teaching them hand-to-hand combat and like how to like kill people. You know what I mean? And over here, their TikTok's turning people's brain into grilled cheese. You know what I mean? And they're at home they're not going out exercise. They're on their phone, just sitting on a couch. They're getting out of shape. Their mind's getting kind of fucked up. It's kind of a weird. It's almost like probably goes a lot deeper than we think it does type deal.
Yeah, it's a big war on what I think is creativity. I mean, the one thing
Bigger than
that,
that. I think it's bigger than that though, huh?
yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that when you start diminishing creatives and creativity, then you are dumbing down the society. You're dumbing down
Emotions.
everybody. And the thing is that the the great thinkers, I mean, the whole idea of like thinking outside the box happens when you are creative. And the thing is that that's what they're doing. They're turning anything that creatives can do into something an AI can do. So I mean, there's so they're like, oh, we're saving money, but I mean, an AI can only learn from what's already been done. I mean, when you take an AI and you take a person can take something that's already been done and think of something new, or look at thing at from a different perspective. But an AI can't do that. An AI can only look at everything that's done before and do it again. It can't build upon it. It can't uh, uh, perfect it. It can't do anything other than just regurgitate what's already been done. And the fact is, by doing that, that's sticking us all as a society all around the world as, kind of like, just imbeciles, not being able to, you know, improve ourselves. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Mm.
Yeah, and also that they don't think, like, for example, we have the perfect example in Germany with the Green Party. The Green Party, who is in the government with two other parties, is they were, when they started, like pacifism, like no war, no nothing, right? So whatever, and be total green, and everybody's on the whatever. They all dance in the rain in the forest. So now they are the biggest like military supporters of Ukraine in Germany. They even want like German troops helping the Ukraine. They give a completely shit about the possibility of a third world war triggering because of the stupid Ukraine, like stuff like this. But they don't care because they grew up with that internet stuff and they cannot imagine that there's any danger because the only danger they know is from video games. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and this kind of like, when I have a lot of arguing here with people I know, and, and I said like, look, if troops helping the Ukraine, it is the third world war. I mean, what else you need to have a third world war is NATO troops helping the Ukraine against Russia. So, I mean, to not say it's not the third world, because they say it's not the third world war, it's just in the Ukraine then, right? And then I always argue back, yeah, but only till we win. Because as soon we push Russia back, Putin will be pissed. And then he will flip completely out and just nuke Kiev first and say, if you don't move the rest of the troops away from here, we nuke Berlin and then Paris. I mean, that is the thing, but they cannot understand that because they were never in their life in any dangerous situation or violent situation. They never have any first-hand, also never shot weapons or whatever, like shit like this. They are so far away from this kind of reality. And then when people who were more in the, let's say, violent situations or have a little experience with this kind of stuff say, yeah, but how you think this ends? They just think that Putin goes back to Moscow and calls it a day because he could never trigger a third world war. And I said, did you know Putin? I mean, Putin is not like George Clooney. Right. So, I mean, he's a professional murderer since the beginning of his career. He will send us an ultimatum when he feels like, what the fuck? There are no troops. OK, put the troops away Otherwise, I throw one tactical nuclear bomb, and then Zelensky is history. So I mean, that is the whole thing. What they don't get is that Putin the whole time plays like, in a way, he plays with the Ukraine. It's not that he has like all his troops activated, all his weapons activated, and the heavy weaponry stayed away the whole time. They basically do drones and some artillery, tanks, whatever, right? But he's also not like what they're always in America. Also, it's a genocide. Excuse me. There's a 2 years war, and there's 30,000 civilians dead. I mean, I'm from Germany. One bombardment on Hamburg in the Second World War, 80,000 people dead in one night. Dresden, 80,000 people dead in one night. Berlin, that was also not a genocide. That was war. That was like a full-on war. And that is the thing. I don't get it, how they don't see the danger that we can never go back to shit like this. And they should also really, like, I think, pull back the language of genocide everywhere. The Holocaust was a genocide, or an attempt to do a genocide, or in Sudan, the Darfur film I did, 500,000 people hacked into pieces. That was a attempt of genocide. Still people survived, so they're not all wiped out. But that is a genocide. Gaza is also not a genocide. Yeah, it's too bad, like what's happening there. But I mean, the Hamas are fucking terrorists, sorry. And they still have hostages. Release the hostages, the massacre has an end. So, I mean, that is the thing. But it's also not a genocide because there are 2 million people in Gaza and they have 35,000 dead now. So, I mean, Israel could just fucking bomb them to shreds and you have them all dead. That is a genocide. So, and that is the thing. It's like, I think in everything, how they talk about it, it's so spaced away from reality, and also this, let's say, we're sitting there on our asses watching everything online and don't get it that the Ukrainians actually fight and die. And we cannot even imagine that that could ever happen to us. And, and then that the Green Party is the one who gives them this. Germany has a special Taurus racket. What is better as what the French have and the British have, because it dives down, basically you shoot it and it dives down and can fly far. It can fly to Moscow from Ukraine. And it has a bunker that blows up bunkers, everything. So it's like very powerful. It's like the hardest you can get besides nuclear bombs. And the Green Party want to deliver this to Ukraine. And the only one who keeps it back is the chancellor right now, Scholz. Everybody else in the government says, no, we have to deliver it so they can kick some ass. And Scholz and some like experts say, yeah, but what is if they shoot the Kremlin? Like if they, with our rackets, bomb Moscow? No, they will never do it. They promised not to do it. I mean, how can you think they will hold the word, right? So they will just, as soon as they have the fucking bombs, they will shoot them wherever they want. And I don't think we can go that risk, because then Putin will say, look, fucking Germans, our main enemy of the First World War, the Second World War, and so on. And boom, we are part of a war. I'm totally against this. And I personally, to be honest, like, give a shit about the Ukraine. It's too bad, and Putin is the bad guy, and I feel bad for them, but we cannot help everybody.
Right.
You know,
That's the thing. You can't, you
No.
you try and extinguish this problem, there's just going to be more problems over here while you're extinguishing this one. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like human nature.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, yeah, but in the film thing, I think really it's, of course, there's a lot of product and still a lot of things to enjoy, to watch, but it's less and less. Where you have the feeling. Did you watch the Jennifer Lawrence comedy, what she did for Netflix?
Yeah,
Where she has to date that teenager guy?
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was awful.
Awful. Where you think, like, first of all, you think how desperate Jennifer Lawrence needed now something to entertain, whatever, because all her films were like art house crap the last 10 years. And then she played basically a teenager who's like, not a teenager, like 30 years old woman who gets paid to date a freshman, right? And think about Hangover, Something's Wrong About Mary, like films like this, Superbad. That would be good, but no, in times like today, the humor was so harmless that the whole film was a disaster. We were watching it, we're like, what the fuck? That's not funny. That is like every joke, you see it coming from like a mile away. And that is the problem. That is exactly the problem that the people who decide what gets produced will dim everything down to nothing. Think about, you would put a script in like Taxi Driver. There would be no way that they would ever do a film like this again.
Yeah.
Are you insane? He's actually shooting them, whatever. That's the whole point, So that is like they cannot do this, and I mean, I'm excited to watch Civil War coming up. The trailer looks good, and I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. But it has the feeling of that could be something.
Yeah. With that Jennifer Lawrence thing, do you think that Hollywood's trying to normalize pedophilia? I almost think that there's some weird thing going on where they're trying to make it not appear to be as bad as it actually is, type thing.
I mean, he's 17, right? So it's not a kid or something. But I don't know.
We got the 18, yeah.
Well, okay. Jumping off of that, I just say after watching that movie, that what went through my mind was, if we took that movie and all we did was change Jennifer Lawrence's character and the other character and just switch the sexes. If it was a guy and it was a young girl, a 17-year-old girl, everyone would be up in arms. Everyone would be saying, okay, this is wrong. This is gross. Should not be made. But because now it's the woman in what usually is more of the guy role, okay? And she's the one who's like in control of, trying to date this younger guy. Now it's okay. See, that's the thing I always found interesting. I mean, you're watching. I mean, I'd be like going on the news and you hear about a female teacher who gets in a relationship with a young male student, and they're like, oh, she got some, time, like a few months or something like that. And then you hear the exact same story, but with a male teacher and a female student. And we're talking about, he's getting like major hard time and all that. Now, the thing is, I believe that both of them should be treated equally. Okay. Both of them should get the same punishment, because what they're doing is the same. And I mean, I just have a problem with that. I just believe that if we're going to go with equality, we have to be totally equal on all aspects.
Yeah, the guys getting gang raped and decapitated in prison, and the girls getting a slap on the wrist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also have to say, let's say 15 years and younger, right? I mean, if somebody's 17 and fucks the 20 years old guy, if it's just she was 17 and doing it, I don't see this as rape or pedophilia. They're already
but in society, I mean, they'll still raise the big flag. I mean, like I said, even keeping the ages exactly the same. You got a 17-year-old girl, a 30-year-old man. Everyone's going to say, "Oh, that's gross. That's wrong." But because it's Jennifer Lawrence and a young man, then it's okay. It's okay. It's funny comedy. We can let it slide.
You got the same thing every time. Guys going, "Where were the teachers like that when I was a kid?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and the guy, they will say, "Oh, you scored big," right? But when the guy has that with the girl, of course, the society would flip up, right, and would say, like, "How could you do this? Date a student or whatsoever?" But I mean, I think what the worst thing in that film is that the character of the guy was completely, people like this don't exist. He was so geeky, he was so out of it that you think where you live, what high school you went to, it's completely insane. It was almost like somebody they let out of the basement for his first date when he was 17 and had no human contact before. It was, and they felt it's funny, but it's not. It was just like this kind of, they go to the beach in the evening. That scene, for example, was so idiotic, where he's like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" I said, "We're going in the water. We swim naked," right? So and he like, "Oh, we cannot do that. It's not allowed." And you think like, what the fuck? I mean, nobody would, a guy would be super happy if she gets undressed and things like, we go naked swimming, because you think then after the swimming, So, and it's like, but it's the opposite of what A Hangover or Superbad was, where it was just straight up real, where you had the feeling like that's actually how it would go down, like a total disaster. And, and the people want to fuck around and so on. And so they try to make artificial characters. They are not real.
Yeah.
They don't exist. It's super idiotic what they do. Even what Jennifer Lawrence was doing is idiotic. And her friends, the diving guys or whatever with the boat, they were all like no real characters, where you feel these people don't exist. They're just written for that film that they fit. And I don't know. It's really, but that is the tough part, where you feel like, what's the point of this? I mean, that Jennifer Lawrence film from before, where the black actor is like with her talking the whole time in the pool or whatever, and nothing happens, and he's in love with her, but she doesn't want it because he's too fat and everything. I mean, she's not attracted by it. But it's like a totally unnecessary film where you feel like, what's the point of that whole film? I mean, she would say, "I will never date you," like on first line of the film, end of the movie. You can do whatever you want, it will never happen. But so, that is the thing. It's like, I don't get it. I watched like half an hour, and then you felt, it's exactly what, for example, Apple Plus, that don't try to steer the pot. They only want this kind of, everything is good. We're all living in the Apple world where you spend $3,000 on a phone. And and then space away from reality, and it's we need a reality check also in regards of film productions and TV shows, and we need a little more grittiness back, and and that it's more edgy, and we need less computers, less attorneys, and less algorithm in a way deciding what gets picked. And in the festivals, I feel we really need a fair shot, or they should disallow to charge a fee. I mean, somebody would have to sue them basically and say, you cheated people out of that money, and you have to reimburse everybody from the Sundance Film Festival from this year their money back.
Yeah. It almost be kind of, if you didn't get accepted, getting your money back would actually be kind of cool. There's so many film festivals, like it's become that thing, like like right now we got a lot of, every town has like 10 film festivals, and it's all filmmakers and like critics, and they're like, they'll have a festival just to kind of pat themselves on the back or give their friend accolades, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy, dude, because they're all asking, not all of them, but a good chunk of them are asking for money. Whenever I see like a new festival pop up and they're charging like some outrageous money, but they don't have the credentials for you to want to go there, it's like, your first year, you might not even have the event. You might not make the money you want to make and not even have the event. You know what I mean? There's no respectability there for a lot of them. I think that there should be more hoops that you have to jump through in order to be able to host a film festival. You know what I mean? To a degree, because there's a lot of like, even it's like, it's tough, dude. It's a real tough thing, because who's to say? And like you said, with them not watching the movie, like I feel like that happens a lot. We did a film festival a couple of years back called the Undodivergent Film Festival, and the first rule that we had was none of our films will play there. We don't want to be that type of festival. And the massive undertaking that it was, because like you get all these films, like watching them, I don't think people understand how much time goes into watching the films. And like in the situation like that, I think a lot of festivals don't even watch it. Like I remember it was such a, like, I don't want to say a burden, but like it was such a fucking feat just to watch every single film that came through, because as a filmmaker you want to give it a fair shake, because you know the trials and tribute, you're spending money you don't have to, hopefully they'll like your movie. And it's like, it's a lot. Like we don't do it no more because it takes up so much time. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you tried at least to watch the submissions. And another cheating thing is actually what today, like before we talked, I get always this submit for free advertising. Yeah. Every
Yeah.
single time, even so, I'm sitting here, the email comes in, I click on, okay, submit for free my Hanau film or first shift, because they are loaded up there, right? So the screening link. So I only have to click it on, check out, card, put the code in. Never it worked. It never worked. Every single time where I did that, code invalid. So I felt whatever they're writing, like the first 50 submissions are free. You think, so how's that possible? Who was faster as me, where I just got the email, like sitting here, email, boom, submitting, gone. You know, that is also a cheat, because what happens is it's then in your cart and then the code doesn't apply. And then it's like $59.90 or $69.90. And then they will go to checkout, you know, and then they will charge your credit card what you have in the system. And then you're fucked. And you supplied like whatever, the Arizona Short Film Festival, and you submitted a long film, but they don't care. They just took your money. So no, but this stuff is also, I feel like there is so much bullshit. It's just insane. You know, and I bet in the last 3-4 years, I clicked on 50 to 80 of that submit for free buttons, and not once I was lucky. Yeah, and that is also like they tried that as an advertising tool, and I bet they're lying about it. I bet there's nobody submits for free, because they know by accident then 5 idiots will just pay it.
Right. You know,
You
it's
know,
like,
yeah.
and like Film Freeway, that Film Freeway thing, it puts it in the cart. So even like if for people, if they're gonna line them up and like get them later, like those deals go away sometimes. So like you think you're getting it, and then you got to pay for the full. But what Alex was saying about the email, I think those are copy and paste, because I'll get emails all the time from festivals. They're like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? We love your films. We think you should submit to us." And you're like, "Oh, you're reading like a fucking 8-paragraph thing about how they love you and like respect filmmakers." And they're like, "Join our festival." Then you like go over to look at it, and it's fucking like $80, and it's like, oh, this was just a big waste of fucking time. Like, what is going on here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Good. I would check out now. I fly tomorrow to Croatia, where I have a little pre-production going, and in April I shoot my film Run. Soon I will send around who is in it, but I got some good actors. Not only the Italian actors, but also a few American actors. They are well known. And so I'm looking forward to do this film. And I hope it plays and it sells. If not, I really have to hope that at one point streamers pay me to make something. But right now I'm not optimistic. You know, I fall exactly in that hole. As you said, I'm not an unknown tool, you know, just doing the job. It's like I don't make films where I don't put myself in a way in the way I think about stuff, or the, you know, so, and it looks like that is not, if you're not Scorsese or Ridley Scott, that is not what they want from a director anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, good luck with the new film, man. We can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we talk then again. Okay.
We'll talk soon. I have a go.
Hey, before you go, I just wanted to say thank you for the book that you sent me.
Yeah, now you have to translate it.
Yeah, now I have to translate it. I am working on it. Google Translate and I have been spending a lot of time on it.
But
again,
wait, I have good news for you, because the a US publisher, wait 1 second, I tell you the name. They will do it in English.
okay.
Yeah, and it's what is the Bear Manor Books? Ben Omar at Bear Manor Books will print it in English in fall.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm very happy about that. I mean, we will talk before, and when it comes out, I will send it around, because I said I did 3 books in Germany, and it's ridiculous that not one English-speaking book is out there. So, and now they do it, and including photos and everything, and I updated it. Where because that was of course written like a year ago or longer, and then I updated it, and I have the whole first shift stuff in, and so on. So I'm very happy about that. It's very good.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to definitely check that out.
Okay.
Well,
Bye.
thank you very much. We'll talk to you
Bye.
later, man. Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Uwe Boll, regular to the show, friend of the BoomBastiCAST. I always love sitting down with Uwe because fucking he is not afraid to go there. Me and Alex were talking about before the show, we just did an interview, and it was like, you know what? Why hold your tongue for anybody? We just, it's an insane thing. You know what I mean? It's like, just speak your truth, man. The truth shall set you free. And Yui's like the king of that, I feel. I love Yui, dude. He's so great. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new flick. What do you think, Alex?
Oh, I love talking to him. I think he's a breath of fresh air. I mean, when it comes to, he just says it how he sees it. I mean, people can either like or dislike, but you can't say that he's fake. That and I mean, I enjoy his stuff. I know a lot of people give him shit. I mean, is everything perfect? Nothing's perfect, but I always enjoy his stories and his takes on it. And I'm glad that he's still making films. I can't wait to see his a film that just came out, which is First Shift, which he just finished, and now he's working on. I think he said the name was Run,
Yes.
for the. He's literally going to be flying out to do pre-production on that. So I'm psyched. I mean, it's always fun watching his stuff, and like you said, when it comes to film festivals, I mean, none of us who are independent filmmakers are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a shame that the one of the few avenues that we get to show what we've done, what we're passionate about, is film festivals. And like so many things, film festivals just those who run it, a lot of them see it as cash grabs. Like, hey, we have this thing, give us, your movie for even as low as 50, $60. And they're like, oh yeah, we watched it. We don't think it fits for us. But hey, try again next year. And of course, the thing is that they've already picked what they're going to show, at the very beginning. They're just trying to get extra money out of you.
Yeah.
And I think that is by far one of the most sickening thing about, film festivals.
And it can be very clicky too. Like we got a festival in Boston. We got a Boston Underground Film Festival that, it's you kind of see it year in and year out. They'll bring in bigger films, but then they kind of pepper in, friends of their films and stuff, like people that I've been a big believer in. If you wanna get into a film festival, you got to kind of go there, click up, go meet the people that run it, buy them drinks, play the game with them. For instance, we this was strike three with this with the buff for us, because I'll put myself out there and say the Boston Underground Film Festival was always a film festival that I kind of wanted to play a film at, being that we're kind of underground filmmakers from Boston. And we sent DJ there, no go. Insomniac went there, no go. And we just sent Special Treatment there, no go. it's like, and I was seeing filmmakers, actually one filmmaker, I can't fib. I seen one filmmaker talk about how their film was going to be screening there before, like a week or so before the festival even announced who was going to be playing there. So there's some type of in cahoots clickiness there for them to know that their film would be playing there before the official announcement of all these things, which I think is pretty, I think that's kind of really fucked up that there was inside baseball going on. You know, it's right there. And I'm sure they probably regret that girl filmmaker saying our film's going to be playing there, because it just shows how kind of corrupt the situation is with how people are finding out ahead of time more before other people. That's kind of a corrupt deal, unfortunately. But it's very clicky and unfortunate. They'll never get any of my money ever again, and I really don't have anything good to say about them. Um, but like, yeah, they're not the only ones that are kind of like that. It's everywhere. Like I said, there's fucking every town has an Elm Street. Every town has their own film festival. Whether it's filmmakers just trying to give patties on their back for themselves or their friends. You know, we've seen people that the only time you ever see their film playing at a festival is when them or a friend is playing it. You know, you see that all the time everywhere. You know, you see situations where people are asking for all these money, and like you were saying, dude, you know, it's that money adds up. You know, if you got a punch, if you got a slot, you're running a film festival, you can play 20 movies. And you know, if you get some good buzz to your festival, whether you pay for marketing or whatever, and you bring in a bunch of films, you know, everybody paying 30, $60 a pop. And these people practically know what films they're going to play before submissions even go in. And that's the dirty part of it. That's really like disgusting and discouraging, because it's like, damn, it's like you're just milking indie filmmakers that don't have money. You're exploiting people's dreams again. You know what I mean? It's like, why? I don't know. I know why, to be fucking foul. You know what I mean? But like, it's just an unfortunate thing. Um, you see it everywhere. It's never gonna stop. It's always gonna be there. I really do think that there should be more credentials to running a film festival. And we have friends that run film festivals. You know what I mean? We've run film festivals. Like, it's definitely one of those things, you know what I mean? But like, I almost feel like there should be a little, like, if you're like our friend who just did our film, we just did a film festival for our buddies Dead of Winter, and it was there's no submission fee, which was great. You know what I mean? It was kind of a hand-picked thing, which was cool, because I mean, at one point your filmmakers are getting excluded, but at the end of the day, like, the film, you don't have to pay. It's not like you're paying $60 and still getting fucked. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's more of a. I think they're gonna do. I don't know what the future will hold for that, but it's kind of like a. It's an interesting take. But yeah, there's so many people out there, and with the critique thing, it's like the critic thing. It's like a film festival is like a way, it's money. It's a way to make money, I think, for a lot of people. They care. I don't think people care as much about bringing quality films in to screen for people as much as they care about getting their bills paid by filmmakers that are willing to pay for the hopes of screening somewhere. And it goes again, it's that exploitation. You know, we're talking about like indie, like like IMDb there, dude. Like I've had IMDb for 20 years. I don't even want to do the fucking math on how much money I've given IMDb, but like, realistically, I feel like in this day and age, if you're going to be a filmmaker, an actor, a producer, or whatever, you need to be on IMDb to show your work. It's kind of like the best resume you could have in this field. You know what I mean? So you got to pay for it, and it's gradually gone up. Watch my IMDb page disappear after this interview. But I love IMDb. I just think that, you know, it's kind of a racket toast thing. And I won't be saying my name. I'm going to be taking my name off the thing. But no, much like everything. You know, there's great festivals out there that really care about the filmmakers and really want to help them shine and help them get to another place. But like the yin and yang of everything, there's also festivals out there that they want your money, take all your money, fuck your film, pay my bills while I patty myself and my friends on my back. You know what I mean? And that's just out there. And I would love to get a full I'd love to get a full calculation. Maybe I'll let Alex do this. I need you to I need you to venture out into the world and get me back a statistic of film festivals that are fucking good compared to the bad ones. But like I said, there's good ones out there, there's bad ones out there. The one we were just a part of in Worcester was a good one. That was fun. No submission fees, good turnout, good deal. They were pretty cool to their film, the filmmakers there. Everybody they did their intros and stuff, which was good. But yeah, it's film festivals always rub me the wrong way because like just in the overall, because it's like I mean, it's one of those things that it is what it is. It's kind of like saying, I really don't like sickness. I don't like sickness in this world. It's like nobody does. So like I don't think anybody likes the film festivals that are, we'll say, corrupt, you know what I mean? But it's a weird deal. It's definitely a thing, you know what I mean? But it's a tricky thing because you don't really know who's what and what's who, you know what I mean? Ooh, but yeah, like I said in the interview, like it's always, I assumed at our level, I always assumed it was just at our level, but it goes all the way up the ladder, which is kind of very discouraging, you know what I mean? But what can you do? There's not much you can really do about it. But yeah, it's very unfortunate sometimes, you know what I mean? Because it's like these film festivals it's like if you're an indie filmmaker, you're going to use this film festival to get a bigger audience, to try and get yourself some accolades, win some awards. At the bigger festivals, there's distribution companies that go to them and stuff. And it's like you want your film to be seen by people that could pick it up. And I think it's just an exploitive thing sometimes. And like I said, there are good ones out there. But like, much like everything, it's just unfortunate that, and I can't even, the thing with the more credentials thing that I was saying, I mean, even that could be, it could be a wrong way to go about it. You know what I mean? Because, there's a lot of startup festivals that just have their first year and their intentions are good. You know what I mean? They want to, they want to show films that they think are good to an audience. You know what I mean? Or maybe help those filmmakers get to the next place. But I do think that tragically, man, there are festivals that don't give a fuck about the filmmaker and they just want to collect as much money as they can from submissions and they already know who, they're gonna be. And the thing with the Boston Underground thing with that is like they do bring in good films. Like I can't hate, you know what I mean, too much, I guess. They'll bring in some bigger indie films. I was very kind of, it's a weird deal. It's a weird deal when you kind of see clicky behavior, you hear about clicky behavior, and then you see clicky behavior. It's all kind of an unfortunate thing. Um, yeah, but you'll never escape it. You know what I mean? It's like anything else. But it's tricky. It's tricky. It's very tricky. Um, and as it goes up, if I would, the story about him getting the film back, not even opened, that was a kick in my nuts. I felt that pain, dude.
Yeah.
He's right, dude. He's like, you submit into a big festival, you're paying a couple $100 to submit sometimes, depending if you get in on that early bird. With Sundance, I think there's a very early bird Sundance where you can get in for like $60, which realistically, I don't submit to Sundance because I got a pretty good idea who ain't gotten accepted at Sundance. You know what I mean? In order for you to get it accepted at Sundance, brother, you need to make like a fucking $5 million independent film with a name actor in it, name director in it. The new Scorsese flick I seen, I liked it. I was left with wanting a little more. I thought there should have been a little more crime to it, just because of the future. Marty's world that he's created, the crime plays such a big part, but he's kind of straying away from crime. I wonder if that's a politic thing or not. Unfortunately for Marty, man, I still think he's one of the best living directors, but I almost feel like they almost treat him like we'll nominate him because it's good because he's a king. He's probably the greatest living, probably, with pound for pound body of work. But I don't think they'll give him the best picture or best director awards anymore. I think that he's just kind of like a hero to so many people that they have him there. I think Christopher Nolan's going to win it for Oppenheimer, which Oppenheimer was boring at times. But it was well acted. Cillian Murphy there did fucking incredible. And even that was a weird type flick. Like I said, I was really hoping to see the bomb going off. I could understand why he wouldn't show it, because you don't want to kind of offend, I guess, the people that seen it. But like with Christopher Nolan being a filmmaker that can just do a big scope of things, I really wanted to see, like you were saying, almost like the camera going in through the town while it was exploding. You know what I mean? See, I was looking for a big special effect extravaganza at that point, and the only time they really showed the bomb going off is when they're testing it. That was the only time you see the explosion. Um, and then there's like a shot. There's a weird shot where Cillian Murphy there has his flashback while he's doing, or like a vision while he's doing a speech, and like he sees a girl in the crowd and her like skin starts to fall off, and the makeup looked like shit. I was surprised. Like I was like actually blown away and taken out of the film for a second. I'm like, dude, that the makeup effect looks kind of shitty. It's almost like they didn't want to push it. They didn't want to make it too realistic. They didn't want it to be, you know what I mean, something that people go, ooh, fuck. And I could understand to a degree, not wanting to show that because it was so traumatic, but like life's traumatic. It's a real thing that happened. What's the thing they say? But if you don't look at if you're forced to relive it, if you don't, what's that quote
Well,
about?
if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it, and it's kind of like that. And I jive with him, with you definitely on that whole deal of like, they need, the edginess and grittiness to the films that it's kind of like the films that I can put you in that category too, but I think the ones that even me and you kind of fell in love with and made us want to make movies, they're some of them, well, of course we get down with Ghostbusters and stuff, you know what I mean? But like a lot of the films that really made me want to make movies, like Taxi Driver and stuff, it's like you watch it and you get riled up. You're like right there with him. You're like, fuck yeah, like Travis Bickle is the man. Like I remember watching that and being like, Travis Bickle's the coolest dude there ever was, man. He's just a dude who's not gonna take it anymore, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, and a character that's not going to take it anymore is kind of scary to the modern audience, which is kind of weird because with the news showing all this ugly stuff of murder and killing, and people just like the bombings and just like what's going on over we were talking about earlier with you, it's like, dude, it's like you almost have to combat that with an equal amount of something, you know what I mean? You can't, it's like we've often said, it's like when reality is horrifying, the entertainment needs to almost match it, or like be in a different direction of, to try and combat it and equal it out. You know what I mean? Um, but it's a weird situation. Yeah, it's definitely a weird situation. Um, but what can you do? You know what I mean? So yeah, this was a well-rounded discussion. Talk a little about the film festivals, the corruption behind some of those deals, and the madness of it on different levels. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say about this episode?
No, pretty much we hit everything on the head. I thought it was a great interview and discussion. It and always enjoy having Yui on our podcast because it's always he always is an interesting person to talk to and listen to.
Big fan of his films and him, and telling it like it is, telling it like it is. I like that. It's he doesn't have to worry about. He can speak his mind. He doesn't have to worry about getting a phone call from a studio head after this and being like, maybe you should tell them not to air that episode. You know what I mean? It's. I think he's one of the kings of the indies. Like he's truly still an independent filmmaker, and he's still knocking out great films. And yeah, his I could see his films could be scary to people with they're raw, but that's what's so great about film. I love raw films and just gritty shit. It's just there's failing to it. That's what, failing something from a film like that Barbie movie. The Barbie movie was just an hour and a half commercial marketing campaign, really, to like sell shit. Um, but like, yeah, well, that's Hollywood for you. Hollywood is the safe zone. Like if you want a career in Hollywood, don't expect to ever say anything edgy, just or anything like with a that somebody could be insulted by or offended by because it's a rap for you. You know what I mean? I think that's more in the underground, and it's kind of like the underground filmmakers from like Yui down, I think, is kind of like the rebel army, so to speak. It's the people kind of in the bunkers making these films, which you don't have the money to make all this glitz and glam special effects crazy thing, but you can very tap into a human emotion. Can be done for nothing, no money, can be done extremely just for the cost of people being on set making a movie. And that raw emotion, I think, is what really we need to get back to that raw emotion. You know what I mean? Whether people don't like they like the way they feel or they don't. They might not like it, but sometimes you're not supposed to like it. You take a movie like Come and See, um, probably one of the greatest war movies ever made, and it's like you feel like dirty and you feel fucking like angry about watching that film, but that's what war is supposed to do to you. It's supposed to make you feel angry and dirty, and you know that's a beautiful thing in that sense of it. And be lucky that it's just art and it's not the reality knocking on your door. You know what I mean? But I'm Batman. So what can you do? You know what I mean? Speaking of Christopher Nolan, I work for Christopher Nolan. Um, cool. So I think that without that being said, Yui, again, I know the ghost of Yuli's right here. So much love for having him on here. Big fan, dude. Always going to be a fan. Always going to be a fan. Great stuff. Have him on the show again. And always great discussions. You know what I mean? With all our guests. Yui is no different. You know what I mean? So with that being said, we hope all y'all enjoyed this episode. If you did, go check out more episodes where you heard this one for free. If you got a little love in your wallet for the BoomBastiCAST boys, you want to check out our Patreon page at Boombastic Streaming. You get exclusive earlies, all types of uncut, beautiful goodness of stuff like this episode and other ones and future ones, as well as our films. You know what I mean? And Boombastic Streaming. I know streaming wasn't shedding the most light. We didn't shine the best light on streaming in this deal, but I do think that's where streaming's go. The future is streaming, and yeah, that's what you can do. So with that being said, we hope you all are great out there, and be on the lookout for Uwe's new movie he's shooting this month. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode of the BoomBastiCAST. Peace.